this has been a pretty interesting series so far between the Phils and the Giants. Game number 1, Cole Hamels wasn't as sharp as usual, and Mike Morse launched that home run, a 3-run shot that gave the Giants a 3-0 lead, but the Phillies battled back. A solo shot by Marlon Byrd. That 2-run shot by Cody Ashe tied it late, and then in extra innings, Chase Utley was hit by a pitch. Ashe, who had doubled, scored the go-ahead run. The Phils won 5-3. Game 2, Phils seemingly in control. Ryan Howard had 3 RBIs, including 2 on that hot shot, but then in the 6th inning, things kind of unraveled. Kyle Kendrick was humming along, and then this ball dropped between Howard and Utley. The flip to second base, and Utley even acknowledged he had plenty of time, but still could not get Buster Posey. And the inning mushroom. The Giants exploded for 4 runs. Posey scores easily here, and then later on, Gregor Blanco slices this base hit to left field. That scores the go-ahead run, and the Giants took Game 2. So now we get set for Game 3 of this series here in San Francisco. The Phillies trying to wrap up this road trip on a positive note with a whole host of Phils fans soaking in the sun here at AT&T Park. Hi, everybody. I'm Tom McCarthy, joined by Matt Stairs. All right, so the Phils jumped out to a 5-1 lead yesterday. They couldn't hold it. Now they turn the baseball over to David Buchanan, who today, Matt, will have to deal with Tim Lincecum. Now, Lincecum struggled since the last time the Phillies faced the Giants, but this is also a guy that has 2 Cy Young Awards and 2 no-hitters.
And he's the type of guy that he has a very good changeup, but the very key for hitters is you got to get him in the strike zone. He throws a lot of changes out of the strike zone. A lot of guys will take some wild swings at the ball. Here's the last out and the no-hitter. Now, ironically, he only throws about 10% curveballs, ground ball, second base, and then all of a sudden to celebrate, he starts. But he's a guy that, you know, and this one, this no-hitter, he cruised through it. It was almost like a boring no-hitter. There was no balls hit hard. There was no tough plays. And really, from the first pitch to the last pitch, he was throwing his changeup for strikes. He was cruising. And you can see the comparison in these 2 no-hitters. 148 pitches last year versus the San Diego Padres, where this time he went out 113 pitches, 73 strikes. He was working fast, had complete control of every single pitch he was throwing, and he was getting really weak swings and weak ground balls.
All right, but the Phillies will get him on a downturn here this afternoon. As we said, he came out in relief to pitch against the Phils earlier this season. Since then, he has not been the same Tim Lincecum. So this is the final day of this road trip for the Phils. David Buchanan makes his 13th start in the big leagues. Lincecum his 25th start overall. We'll be back with lineups and first pitch right after this. Phillies baseball is brought to you by Toyota. The annual clearance event is going on now. Toyota, let's go places. By Citizens Bank, introducing one deposit checking. Keeping things simple is helping you bank better. By Xfinity, your home for the most live sports. By Budweiser, here's to Budweiser, here's to baseball. And by Independence Blue Cross, the most preferred health plan in the region. Independence Blue Cross, live fearless. Out at McCovey Cove as we get set for the finale of this 3-game series, the Phils and the San Francisco Giants. Another beautiful day here in San Francisco. A little cloud cover early, but that's burned off, and we are ready to go. As Tim Lincecum, who's quick to warm up and quick to get that first pitch out. Let's take a look at the starting lineup. It's brought to you by Xfinity, your home for the most live sports. It'll be Revere, Rollins, and Utley, followed by Ryan Howard, Marlon Byrd, and Grady Sizemore. Carlos Ruiz does the catching. He'll bat 7th. Cody Ashley hits 8th. At batting ninth and pitching is David Buchanan, and Lincecum is ready to go. A little shy of 105 Eastern or 105 Pacific. The first pitch misses low. It's 1-0. Then Revere leads it off. 4 hits yesterday that tied his career high. Pablo Sandoval weighing in on the grass at third. And it's 2 balls and no strikes. Revere 4 for 10 so far in the series with a run scored. And at the knees, 2-1. Revere is 2 for 6 lifetime against Lincecum. On the outside corner, Susak dropped the ball, but it was still called a strike. There's Lincecum's numbers. This is his 27th game overall. He's 9-8 with an ERA of 4.51. He's allowed 16 home runs, and he's uncorked 13 wild pitches. And a line drive base hit for Ben Revere into left field. So the Giants shortened up on the infield. And Revere shoots it through the left side. All right, the Budweiser scouting report, Matt.
Well, 88 to 92 mile an hour fastball, curveball, change, slider. He loves his changeup. He doesn't throw very many curveballs. You can see his career numbers 5-3 with a 3.27 ERA, and that is our Budweiser scouting report on Tim Lincecum.
Lincecum came on in relief against the Phillies on the 22nd of July and picked up the save. He went 2/3 of an inning that day after pitching a couple days earlier. And ever since that time, he's allowed 20 earned runs in 17 innings of work. Bruce Bochy says he doesn't know why. He doesn't know if there's a tie in at all, but he just hasn't been able to find the same kind of consistencies with his fastball or his changeup ever since that outing. One ball, no strikes to Rollins. Rollins 3 for 14 on this road trip. On the outside corner, 1-1.
I got to believe it's awful hard to point the finger because he came out of the bullpen that one game, and that's the reason why he's struggling right now. Maybe mechanically he might be wrong, you know, but there's no way you can make it a.
It just seems like it's coincidence as Revere is thrown out trying to steal. And Ben is saying to Ryan Sandberg to come out. Let's take a look at this. He feels like he got in there ahead of the tag by Brandon Crawford. It looked like he did get in there ahead of the tag. Alan Porter was looking right down on it. Now maybe Crawford got him on the backside before Revere hit the back end of the bag. Ben is still walking slowly back toward the dugout as Ryan Sandberg will twist and look for Larry Bowa's signal as to whether they should challenge this or not. Tough to tell here. Yeah, it seems like his hand, the impact of it, is on the bag as the glove is applied to the leg. Nope, they're not going to review this one, so it will be a caught stealing. Yeah, he looks like he's in there, Matt.
I don't know, unless it's
just too tough to tell.
It is. I think that's the reason why there was no challenge.
It just seemed like his hand was in there before the tag was applied to his hip. I think our second replay was the clearer of the three as far as that's concerned. There's ball 4. Rollins draws a walk. So caught stealing, 2-6, a walk to Rollins. The Phillies still have a base runner with one man down, and Chase Utley's coming up.
Well, it's that time for the Nissan keys to the game, and my first key is going to be make Tim Lincecum be in the strike zone. He gets a lot of people swinging at that changeup that's out of the zone. And number 2, need to be better in situational hitting That is the Phillies. Man on second, third, get guys over, get them in. We saw it last night. We'll have to way too many guys on base.
Yeah, Ryan Sandberg talked about that today. He even talked about it yesterday during his post-game session with the members of the media. As that breaking ball's over the inside part of the plate, 0-1. Talked about how important it is to keep on adding on. Yeah, that's what the Phillies didn't do yesterday. Now, there were other parts of that game that were bigger issues, but they did leave 11 on base yesterday. As Utley fouls the 0-1, it's 0-2. Ryan Sandberg did say that he had a closed-door meeting with Kyle Kendrick today, and they kind of went over yesterday's exit of the ball game. Sandberg said he really didn't have a problem with it, but he wanted to make sure that he cleared the air with Kendrick, and I think Kendrick wanted to clear the air with his manager. And he basically said the meeting talked about how frustrated Kendrick was, not necessarily with the way yesterday's game unfolded, although that was part of it, but it's just been a frustrating year for him. 1 ball and 2 strikes to Chase Utley. And Utley lines it out toward right center field. That's going to split the gap, and it's going to go all the way to the wall. Rollins should score easily. Utley's on his way to third. And Crawford will make a throw, but Utley's in there sliding. An RBI triple. It's 1-0 Phillies. Here, a nice smattering of applause, too, letting you know how many Phillies fans are here at AT&T Park.
It's a curveball or an off-speed pitch and leaves it in the middle of the plate, and so you see that triple alley, and you see the reaction by Tim after he threw that pitch, realizing that need to get it down a little lower. And all of a sudden you get that Bank of America sign and chases off to the races, and Jimmy Rollins scores very easily.
Oh, that's the 30th, the 5th triple of the year for Utley. And it's the 45th extra base hit for him. As Howard takes outside, 1 ball and no strikes.
And this is the area yesterday where they were good at it early in the game, had opportunities, and they didn't take advantage of it. You have to take advantage of getting guys in, especially when the infielders are playing back and giving you the run. You swallow your pride. You hit the weak ground ball to second base or wherever you want to do. Just get him in. Don't worry about your average.
Well, this is a perfect spot for Howard. He's hit so many balls into the shift. If he does it right now, and then Utley can coast home from third. Swing and a miss. 2 balls and 1 strike. A breaking ball. .22 first-inning runs. That's a lot of first-inning runs. Talk about Kyle Kendrick, who's given up 28, counting yesterday's. 3 balls, 1 strike. .90-mile-an-hour fastball, 3-2.
Find it interesting where Sandoval's playing at third base. Usually we see Sandoval will be playing over where the second base umpire is.
Yeah.
But I'm just wondering if it's a ground ball at first base. Now they might be coming home and keeping him close.
There's ball 4. That'll put runners on first and third. And Marlon Byrd will come to the plate. Marlins hit it 4 consecutive games. Low and in, 1 ball and no strikes.
That's the key. Tim almost throws like Hudson did yesterday. He tries to live at the bottom of the zone. He wants you to expand your strike zone. That's why you got to be so important and so careful of the pitches you swing at because you want to get him up in the zone.
And the way he's been throwing lately, he's been up in the zone. He's noticeably frustrated out there on the mound right now with the count 2-0. 1 run in, runners on first and third with 1 out here in the top of the first. Inside, 3-0. Lucky McDonald's Phillies home run jackpot contestant is Cindy Kirkering of Ben Selm. Phillies hit a home run at today's ball game, and Cindy will win $200. What are you thinking? Are you thinking green light here at all, or is he taking the way he's been out of the strike zone so much?
No, I'm saying green light. Yeah, but you have to look at, you're looking for a cookie, inner half. That's not a cookie. That's an 83-mile-an-hour changeup in the dirt.
Kind of surprised he threw the changeup there, but I guess he's thinking that Bird's looking fastball and he'd be swinging fastball.
Well, and also now is a pitch like that in the dirt can sometimes lock in a pitcher and say, you know what, all right, now these guys are going to expand on swinging at certain pitches.
That's a looper out towards second, and Panic will make the catch.
See, that's the situation right there. You get a 3-0 count. You have to zero in on one pitch. Now he swings at the 3-1 pitch. Now Lindstrom says, okay, well, I just walked him, but he went out of the zone, helped me out. Now he makes a good pitch and gets a pop up to second base. And what did we talk about early in the season is take your walks and allow the guy behind you to pick you up.
Yeah, Ryan Howard seemed to do that in this first inning. Well, now Grady Sizemore, who's back in the starting lineup, hitting .302. .302 with a home run and 7 runs batted in. 1 ball and no strikes. Numbers for his career against the Giants. Of his 11 hits, he's driven in 4 runs. In the dirt, 2-0.
By the way, I don't think I've ever seen a starting pitcher warm up as fast as he does in the bullpen.
It's the fastest you will see in Major League Baseball. There's nobody else like him when it comes to his warm-ups.
He's thrown a minimum one time of 7 pitches, and then when it was ready to go.
Off the end of the bat foul. It's 2-1.
We used to laugh when I was with San Diego Padres, and of course we came here 3 times a year. Our starting pitcher, didn't matter who it was, Matt Latos, whoever, would be coming in from the bullpen after he's warmed up. Lincecum would be going down just to warm up.
Yeah, they say his bullpen sessions are pretty quick too. Ground ball to second base. Well, he's going to have to be happy with this because he's allowed just 1 run despite all the base runners here in the first inning and the opportunities for the Phils. Chase Utley, he took advantage of the opportunity. An RBI triple puts the Phillies on the board. They lead 2. We'll go to the bottom of the first. They're on top 1-0 over the Giants. lead over the Giants. Let's take a look at San Francisco's starting lineup. It's brought to you by Xfinity, your home for the most live sports. Leading it off at center field, Angel Pagan. Hunter Pence bats second. Buster Posey hits third, followed by Pablo Sandoval and Michael Morse. Joe Panik, the second baseman, bats sixth. In the bottom third of Susac, Crawford, and Lincecum. And they'll face Phillies right-hander David Buchanan, making his first ever start against the San Francisco Giants. Buchanan 6-6 with an earned run average of 4.40. He pitched well in his last outing, Matt, but was frustrated with his final inning. And he said he'd love to have two different pitches back from that inning. And he feels like if he does get them back, he would pitch differently and probably would have gone deeper in that game.
Yeah, and that's one thing that David would like to see things change on his part is one, stay away from that one big inning or the one bad pitch. And you can see the Budweiser scouting report, 90-92, cutter, change, and curve. And on the road this year, he's 2-3 with a 4.41 ERA. I like what he brings to the mound. He brings some energy, some grit. I mean, he's a gamer on the hill.
Yeah, he wound up going 6 innings against the Mets. He struck out 5. He allowed 3 earned runs, and he wound up losing that game 5-3. Here's Angel Pagan to lead it off. Pagan's 2 for 9 in the series. And the count is 1 ball and 1 strike as Pagan takes that one on the inside part of the plate. Phillies snapped Pagan's 9-game hitting streak yesterday. He was 0 for 4. One ball, 2 strikes.
Nice play by a Philly fan.
Yeah, you could tell by the triple that Jimmy Rollins hit, or that Chase Utley hit, just the reaction from the Phillies fans who are here. Out toward left center field. Here comes Sizemore, and he makes the sliding grab, 1 away. So Pagan's retired. Hunter Pence is coming up. The Giants do something on Sundays, the same thing the Phillies do with their starting 9. They have some kids go out to each position. Here's Pagan chatting with this youngster about different things about playing center field. They were out there for a long while, and then he realized, whoa, the game's going to start. So then he shuttled the youngster off the field real quick. Look, the kid is heading towards second base. Everybody's ready to go. Revere's walking for the batter's box. That's great. All the other kids are already back off the field. But that was nice for Angel Pagan, or for that youngster. But it was nice of Angel Pagan to do what he did and take that extra time out there in center. Hunter Pence skies one to left center field. It's playable for Revere. 2 outs. And then with Lincecum tying his shoes, the kid drops the ball, then almost stumbles. That's some great stuff right there. Look at the guys that are waiting for him as he comes off the field. I don't know if they're his buddies or not. Or, boy, if I knew I could stay out there longer, I would have. Buster Posey takes strike 1. It's 0-1.
Plus, those kids will be talking about that for about 2 weeks, 3 weeks.
Yeah.
A long time.
I think school has started out here. If not, it'll start shortly. We'll be chatting about that on the playgrounds. 1 ball, 1 strike to Posey. Swing and a miss out front of a changeup. It's 1-2. To right center field, and Marlon Byrd in the alleyway. All 3 outfielders got a chance to make a play in this inning. Giants go down in order. We'll go to the second with the Phillies on top, 1-0. second inning here in San Francisco. Let's check in with Greg Murphy. Murph?
All right, thanks a lot, Tom. Well, we're talking a little bit about Hunter Pence. I had a chance to sit down with him on Friday, have a good conversation with him. One of the things we talked about was his time in Philadelphia, albeit rather short in a big league career. He really talked about how much he enjoyed playing in Philadelphia and how that time in 2011 and making that run to the postseason helped him when he arrived in San Francisco in 2012. He said that he really doesn't think he would have been able to have the same kind of impact with the San Francisco Giants had he not experienced what he experienced in Philadelphia. It was very interesting to listen to him talk about his time in Philly and how much he enjoyed it and how much he thinks he grew as a ball player while in Philadelphia. And, you know, certainly fans remember him as a guy that went out there and played hard every game, and certainly they appreciated that, guys.
Well, they definitely appreciated the way he played. And I thought it was kind of interesting to listen to those same comments because, Matt, I guess as players, when you bounce from team to team, you are trying to take the experience from one team, if it's successful, over to, let's say, a lesser experienced team or a team that's looking for some guidance.
Well, and that's why a lot of teams like to bring in experienced people that have been to the World Series or playoffs. Usually those players have a tendency not to panic. You know, when we were in San Diego, we were in the race versus these guys to see who's going to win the division. He ended up, you know, Buddy decided to play the veterans, knowing that we don't, we kind of not necessarily are cooler out there, but we're not worried about making mistakes. And sometimes younger players do, but you know, I know they loved Hunter Pence in Philadelphia. Just the way, the energy. I mean, he's a likable person.
Well, he certainly has carried that out here to San Francisco.
You know, Tom, it was so interesting listening to him talk about the bitterness of losing in the postseason that the team felt in 2011, and how when he got to San Francisco, he told his teammates about that. He said, we don't want to do that. We don't want to have that feeling. Trust me, I've been there. And, you know, they were able to go on and win it in 2012 in his first year here.
Yeah, the other thing, too, is that he felt like he had something to prove coming out here to San Francisco, because I don't think he was happy about being traded from the Phillies after being there for a year. I think he wanted to stay there for the long haul.
Yeah, I think that's probably true. You know, when you get traded from a club like Houston, who was scuffling at the time, and he was one of their better players, to a contender, I mean, that feels good. But then you go from a team who, you know, the Phillies in 2012 were still very much considered a team that had a chance to win in the next couple of years, and he did want to stay. You know, but sometimes the business of baseball dictates where you head, and it ended up working out just fine for Hunter Pence. I think in retrospect, he's probably happy the way it all played out.
3 balls and 1 strike to Cody Ashley with 1 out here in the top of the second. And Ashley takes a breaking ball. It's 3-2.
Linston thought that was strike 3. He threw the pitch, took the walk around the mound.
All of a sudden, he turned around and said, where's the baseball?
He's like, okay, this is a pretty good curveball. I'm digging this. Okay, he struck out looking. Yeah, I'm going to take a little walk around.
That one's off the end of the bat out to right center field. So Ashley's aboard with a 1-out single. Lincecum now wishes that the last pitch was the final pitch of the at bat. And now David Buchanan. Buchanan 1 for 20 so far in the big leagues. He's walked 3 times. He was 3 for 31 during his minor league career as a hitter. Had 1 hit in 4 at bats this year. He's up there to sacrifice, and he bunts a beauty up the first base line, picked up by Posey. During the 2014 season, Turkey Hill, the official ice cream of the Phillies, will contribute $100 for each Phillies victory and 5 cents for each carton of Phillies Grand Slam ice cream, sold to support the Phillies youth baseball and softball programs. A runner in scoring position for Ben Revere, who singled his first time up.
That was an absolute perfect textbook bunt. Bat up front, off the end of the bat, deadened it, and then he busted it down the line.
He also got the bunt past that new sod, which encircles the dirt in front of home plate. It was much thicker, that sod, in game one. They've since cut it, but it looked like just walking down there, it was a little higher in game one than the older side. Just a little bit. 1 ball, no strikes to Revere. And he lines one into left field, a base hit. Ashley's going to be held up at third. That's because Morse was playing a little shallower than normal out in left field. And Ben Revere is 2 for 2. He has 6 hits in the last 2 games. And his average keeps on climbing. His batting average now up to .314.
Well, I think the league knows that he can hit a fastball. I think it's almost time they're going to start throwing them curveballs, changeups, sliders. But as long as he keeps on getting fastball and has that nice approach, he'll continue getting hits.
Rollins walked his first time up. Yesterday, Gregor Blanco hit a ball towards shortstop that wound up being the game-winning hit. Rollins, we mentioned on the air, and he even talked about it after the game, how he took a step to his left and the ball was to his right. He said it was one of those that was hit low that he just didn't see. He said there's a glare of sorts during day games that comes off a couple of the empty seats that were back behind the Phillies on deck circle toward home plate, and that glare, the ball went into that glare, and he said I flat out didn't see it. Runner goes from first. The pitch is taken low, no throw, and Revere has stolen base number 35. Jimmy was very honest about it. He said, I don't know if I could have gotten to it if I had reacted right away. He said, but it was weird that the one spot that there was a glare, that's where the ball went to. That happens, right, Matt?
Most definitely, especially in day games. People wear the white shirts or the empty chairs or whatever it is. That's why I like DHing.
No problem with glares.
Didn't have to worry about that.
Read stories where Detroit at Comerica Park, that was one of the worst, or still is one of the worst, where there's so much glare on the seats in those stands. Rollins lines it foul into the seats.
Now, I could be wrong. I usually am, but I think the ballpark in Detroit is one of 2 ballparks that is built backwards. So when the sun sets, it sets in center field.
In the batter's eyes.
Yes.
Yeah. I think you're right about that. I don't remember what the other ballpark is. Do you?
I'm thinking.
Two balls and 2 strikes.
But for some reason, this ballpark and the Oakland Coliseum are the 2 ballparks that are the hardest for fly balls due to the sun.
And Rollins is struck out, and the Phillies leave a couple of scoring position here in the 2nd inning. No runs, 2 hits, 2 men left. Lincecum's throwing a lot of pitches, but still trails just 1-0. Tonight, Jerome Williams will make his second start in a Phillies uniform. 2 night games of the day game. Wednesday is the Citizens Bank Business Person Special on the Modell Sporting Goods. Kids run the bases. Tickets can be purchased anytime by going to Phillies.com. Pablo Sandoval leads it off here in the bottom of the second inning. David Buchanan tosses a changeup, 0-1. Sandoval 14 home runs, 55 runs batted in. Just off the inside corner, 1 ball, 1 strike. Last 2 starts since his return from the minor leagues, Buchanan has allowed 6 earned runs in 12 1/3 innings. Softly over to third, Cody Ashe takes care of Sandoval. 1 out here in the second. And that'll bring Michael Morse to the plate.
Well, one thing about Dave Buchanan that I've noticed since he's been up here with his 12 starts is that when he is not commanding location of his fastball, he gets in a lot of trouble. And I know that's with a lot of a lot of people, but the opponents are hitting 347 off his fastball compared to his changeup and his curveball, 167 and 145. And his cutter keeps them honest as well as Mike Morse drives another hit to right field.
It's his 5th hit in the series.
Yeah. But so it's so important for him to locate that fastball and cutter, and because he knows that his changeup and his curveball, they're swinging and missing all the time.
I am surprised that they're hitting that well against his fastball. Here's Joe Panik, 4 for 7 in the series, including a big triple in yesterday's 8th inning. He wound up scoring the game-winning run. A kid out of St. John's University. And it's no balls and 1 strike to him. To right center field again. Revere on the run. Can he get there? He does. Makes the running grab. That's a fine play by Ben Revere. 2 outs here in the second.
That is a long run. He's playing left center. And he runs all the way over to the Visa. I mean, that's covering some area. I know the ball hung up in the air for a while, but the play on that side of the field towards left center and catch a ball over by that Visa line, that Visa sign it's covering some ground.
There's Susac hitting 190 here in the big leagues. He was hitting 268 in the minor leagues. First pitch is outside, 1-0. 268 with 10 home runs down in the minors. There's that off-speed pitch you talked about. Toyota Major League Scoreboard, the Marlins have defeated the Diamondbacks 10-3. Giancarlo Stanton, a home run, 4 RBIs. Marlins are closing on the Atlanta Braves in the division for second place. Miami now 7.5 games back behind Washington, who sits atop the division. And the Braves are 6 games back. Inside, 2-2.
Pretty good chance Stanton's home run went over, what, 420, 440.
I watched the highlights again of the one he hit earlier this week that hit the windows. There's a line drive to right center field. Revere comes stumbling in. He'll knock it down on 1 hop. And that'll put runners on first and second with 2 outs.
for Brandon Crawford. Crawford 0 for 5 in the series so far. Well, he does have a good changeup today. He's throwing it at times in these fastball counts. You can see what the Giants' objective is to go after him early. If they can get a fastball, they feel like they can handle it. Just a bit outside, and 1 ball and 1 strike. Good pitch on the outside corner. He came back with a fastball that painted the black. It's 2-2. Home plate umpire is Marty Foster. The crew chief Joe West is around the third. Gabe Morales and Alan Porter make up the other 2 at second and first, respectfully. Here's to baseball. Here's to Budweiser. Over to the right side. It's a right fielder base hit. Rounding third, heading for home is Morse. Bird's throw goes to third base on 1 hop past Ashe. And Susac pops up. He's going to head home, and the Giants take the lead. It was the right move by Marlon Byrd to go to third. They're going to charge him with the error to allow the runner to score.
Marlon Byrd got the error?
Marlon Byrd got the error.
That's the error third baseman. Should be, I think. Because that's the point right here where the throw comes in. He just tried to tag too quick. And even though it took a big hop, you just got to make sure you get in front of that ball and you cannot allow it to get past you. But if he would have got that tag down, I don't know if Morrison would have scored before.
I was looking at the play at third. I don't know if he was at the plate or not. That's a good point. 0-2 to Lincecum. Well, that's the first hit of the series for Crawford. He gets a single and an RBI. He goes to third on the throw and the subsequent error. No balls and 2 strikes. And Lincecum's that's outside. 1-2. Excuse me. Two and two. And a called. Strike 3. That'll wrap up the second inning. But the Giants score 2 runs, 1 earned, 1 unearned on 3 base hits. They leave 1. We'll go to the third. It's on the Phillies.com. Go to the fans section for all the information, and please submit your answer on the subject line. All right, Matt, the question is, what branch of the service did Giants pitcher Sergio Romo almost enlist in before opting to play college baseball? The answer will be revealed in just a little bit.
Canadian Mounties? No.
Well, you could answer that if you want to. What branch of the service did Sergio Romo nearly enlist in? I guess if you count the Coast Guard, you only have five choices. 1 ball and no strikes to Chase Utley. Utley had an RBI triple his first time up. Phillies trail it 2-1. Lincecum has really struggled with his command in the first 2 innings, but he's allowed just the 1 run. Outside, 2-0 to Chase. Chase has now hit in 7 consecutive games. His average has hopped back over 290. It's at 291. Ground ball flagged down by Lincecum. And 1 away here in the third. And Ryan Howard's coming up. Last outing for Lincecum against the Royals, he went 3 1/3. He allowed 7 hits and 6 earned runs. Lays off. It's 1 ball and no strikes. Lincecum is a 4-time All-Star. He has had 4 seasons where he has struck out 200 or more. And he's also a 2-time Cy Young Award winner. All this before he's won 100 games in the big leagues. He's got 98 victories. Isn't that remarkable?
Being consistent, that's for sure.
At the knees to Howard, 1-2.
I mean, especially when he first came up, his fastball was 96, 97. With that little delivery he has, he hides the ball really well when he does that twist. He shows you the 55 right there, and he hides the ball well.
That one is kicked by Panic, but he's able to recover and throw out Howard. 2 outs. That'll bring Marlon Byrd to the plate. Let's check in with Greg Murphy, who has more on Lincecum and his strikeouts. Murph?
Yes, I certainly do, Tom. He likes to pile them up, that is for sure, over the course of his career. He's the subject of our Mazda League leaders tonight. Take a look. Strikeouts per 9 innings for the active career leaders. Steven Strasburg is up top of that list at 10.51, but Max Scherzer, number 2, and there's Tim Lincecum at 9.50. So 9.5 strikeouts per 9 innings for Lincecum. It certainly is, when you stop to think about that, those kind of numbers putting up, and he's certainly in good company with Brandon Morrow and Clayton Kershaw on that list as well. So Tim Lincecum able to get those strikeouts in big numbers when he's out there.
Surprising to see Brandon Morrow, although people always talk about his command and his ability if he ever put it all together, but it's amazing that he's on that list for strikeouts per 9 innings. 2-out single for Marlon Byrd. Yeah, Lincecum's not the strikeout pitcher that he once was. Would you agree with that, Matt?
Well, yeah, because he doesn't throw as hard as he used to. I mean, there's not much difference between his fastball and changeups now, where before his changeup would be the low 80s and his fastball would be in the upper 90s or mid 90s. So now when you're throwing your changeup at 74, 75, and your fastball, is coming in there about 89, 88. I think he averages about 88 miles an hour on his fastball.
Sizemore's the batter with the runner at first. And Grady loops one down the left field line. Morse on the run, and that's a fair ball. It kicks up some chalk. Morse picks it up in foul territory. They'll hold Byrd at third. So runners on second and third with 2 men down. Marlon Byrd was finishing his run in sort of a, I don't know if it was like a superhero pose or what, but he and Pablo Sandoval got tied up on the third base bag. So the 8th double of the year for Sizemore since coming over to the Phillies. I don't know what he was doing. Breaking ball, and it's 0-1 to Ruiz. All right, Matt, not to belabor the point, but this is some of the stuff we talked about yesterday. Runners in scoring position. Yes, there's 2 outs. They've left 4 so far today. They've got 2 more in scoring position here in this inning. 2-out hit is the hardest to get.
Yeah. It is, and it's, but we looked back in the first inning, we had first and third and didn't score. After chase it the triple and Howard walks, but this is where you need that big hit, that big play to put you over the edge of becoming a championship team.
2 balls, 1 strike to Ruiz. I don't believe that Ruiz thought that pitch got the inside part of the plate. He has a word or two with Marty Foster. 2 balls and 2 strikes to Carlos with 2 outs here in the top of the third. Just got a piece of it. 82-mile-an-hour changeup.
So why do you think it's the hardest to get a hit with 2-out RBI?
I don't know. I would defer to you on that one.
Well, there's no way. I mean, it must be a numbers game.
Some guys just don't react to the pressure well, I guess.
Like, what's the difference of having a man on third base and getting a single with none out compared to a man on? It's the same approach, right?
I would hope so. I don't know though.
Tom, I'm looking for help here.
Well, you've been in that spot. Is it hard?
Well, getting a hit's hard, period.
Inside ball 4. The bases are loaded. It's now time for you to tweet your photo using hashtag PhillyFanPhoto for a chance to have it shown in an upcoming game broadcast. Brought to you by AT&T. How about the Giants are about to send Yusmeiro Petit down to the bullpen to start warming up for Lincecum. Bruce Bochy is not fooling around. Although yesterday he did use everybody offensively by the 7th inning. No balls, 1 strike. In the dirt, 1 ball and 1 strike.
Two innings and 2/3, 70 pitches already, and he's winning 2-1.
Crazy game, this game of baseball, Matt.
Unbelievable. We played against, when I was with the Cubs, first inning, the starting pitcher, I forget his name was, he threw 44 pitches in the first inning. We did not score in the first inning.
They went on to pitch a complete game?
Oh, no. 44 pitches in the first inning.
It's a lot of pitches without a run.
2001, when I was with the Chicago Cubs, I remember Sammy Sosa had a 16 or 17 pitch at bat. I mean, it was ridiculous.
Well, he's about to throw his 73rd pitch. He leads it 2-1 here in the top of the 3rd. It's 3-1 to Ashe. And Ashe takes low, ball 4. That forces in a run, and the Phillies have tied it up. And the bases will remain loaded. Dave Righetti strolling out to the mound. And David Buchanan will be the hitter. Buchanan had a sacrifice bunt his first time up. I don't know what you say to Lincecum if you're Dave Righetti in this spot. I mean, he does have the pitcher up. It does become a little easier for him. But he's thrown a lot of pitches overall. But now a lot of pitches with 2 outs here in this 3rd.
Well, it was a good at bat by Cody Ashe. He's looking for a pitch up in the zone. And you can watch how he's pitching hitters in front of you. You know, Chase Utley takes a 2-0 awkward swing, hits a weak ground ball back to the pitcher. So you kind of get into the routine of seeing how he's pitching, you know, other left-handers.
Oh, 0-1 to Buchanan. 0-2 to Buchanan. Started him off with a fastball, comes back with a curve. Swing and a miss. And Susac takes the ball out of the dirt, just applies his foot to the plate. And that wraps up the 3rd. The Phillies leave 3. They do tie it up, but a bases loaded walk. is just $1. McDonald's, I'm loving it. By the Pennsylvania Lottery, benefits older Pennsylvanians every day. And by Chevrolet, visit your local dealer at ChevyDealer.com. Bottom of the third, it's a 2-2 ball game. The Phils and the Giants. Top of the order is coming up for the Giants. Let's head down to the dugout for Greg Murphy with a special guest. Murph.
All right, thanks a lot, Tom. Yep, that special guest is Phil's starter, Cole Hamels. Welcome. And let's talk a little baseball first and talk about the guy out there on the mound right now, David Buchanan, the young guy who continues to battle and do some good things out there. What has impressed you so much about him?
Yeah, I think, he's made a lot of strides from spring training, especially, to be a guy that wasn't necessarily on the radar. I think he's coming in, and he's definitely proved himself. And it's something fun to really see because, he has a lot of confidence in what he brings out on the mound. And then when he's in the dugout with us, he's always asking questions. He really wants to understand the game at a higher level. And I think that's what it takes when you have a pretty good caliber player, because it's something where you don't necessarily always get those top echelon guys all the time. You need the guys that are fighting and then become that. And I think he's that type of guy. He's going to be that type of caliber guy for the Phillies, and he'll be around for a long time. And I think he does. He has the sort of makeup physically and mentally. He fits in really well with our starting staff. And for him to be a rookie and kind of take it, to that sort of level and try to push even beyond that and making himself, an every fifth day type of guy with the guy that we have a lot of confidence in that he's going to go out and put a good game together, and we have the chance to win.
Yeah, the word that you hear applied to him all the time is that he's a battler, he's a fighter, and you just use both those words when you described him. You talked about the conversations that you guys have in the dugout, and our cameras have caught you and AJ and David sitting there and talking, and assuming you're talking about baseball and what's happening. What is he trying to figure out from you guys that have been there and done it?
I think he's really trying to find the sequencing, how we attack certain hitters, what are the strengths for certain hitters. Because he has enough pitches and he can throw all of his pitches for strikes, it's easier to, kind of give him that information because we can give it to him in a way of, yeah, this is when you throw this pitch to this guy, be careful with this guy on this sort of pitch. And it's kind of nice. It's not like he has different pitches than what we have. He has pretty much at an early age to have the type of pitches that he has, and for us we've had to develop that. That's why I think he's just going to get even better with fine-tuning him, and with the information that we do kind of get him, it's fun to then see him go out and execute it, and then he'll come in kind of in between the innings too, and he'll nod and we'll look and kind of give that silent nod because we know that he's focused, but just to kind of see that sort of response, it's been pretty enjoyable for the past couple starts to really see that.
Yeah, he has been fun to watch. All right, let's talk a little bit about something fun that you are involved in. And I know that you're a football fan and a fantasy football fan, but now you're turning it into something that fans can get involved in to help raise money for the Hamels Foundation, which is a terrific cause and a terrific idea. Tell us a little bit about the fantasy football challenge that you've got going.
Well, it's something that was brought together, by Adam Wainwright in Big League Impact. And so, we just thought it was something fun where I enjoy fantasy football. I enjoy the football season. I know it's coming up, so I know we're all getting very excited about it. Everybody's getting their fantasy magazines. It gives us something really fun to kind of connect to in the off season before we start spring training again. We kind of have those sort of bragging rights that lead into it, but it's just something where we're going to be able to hopefully provide something great for not only the fan experience, but they're going to be able to interact with us throughout the season. We're on the message boards and playing the fantasy football every Sunday and throughout the week with what it entails with the waiver wire. I mean, we're pretty attention to detail, pretty oriented in that
You're
sense.
competitive.
Oh yeah, we are.
All right, so we should tell folks that it's through BigLeagueImpact.org. You can go onto the website. We just put it up there on the screen. But folks are going to have a chance to play against you or Jake Diekman, Kyle Kendrick, or Cody Ashley in a league. And the draft is on August 24th at the ballpark. You're going to sit down with this guy or one of the other guys and draft your team. And there's some pretty great prizes, too. I mean, this is not just for fun. Folks are going to want to win this because there's some great prizes at the end of it.
Oh, no. I mean, even we want to win it. I think that's what it really, Adam and the group that he's had, and even what we've been able to kind of get from Philadelphia, the prices are, I mean, they've blown me away. They're better than anything we ever had in our little team shindig fantasy. So, you know, this is something I'm pretty excited to see if I can try to win some of these things. All
right. Well, Cole, we appreciate your time. Good luck with it. Again, bigleagueimpact.org. You can sign up. There's still some spots available to play fantasy football against one of the big leaguers. You get that chance coming up. We'll be right back after this.
Order by 11:30 a.m. and get free same-day delivery. Who but WB Mason? We have played 3. We go to the top of the 4th inning. Not an awesome day here in San Francisco. A gorgeous afternoon. Hope you're enjoying, or hope you have enjoyed your day back home in the Delaware Valley. Look at that view. I mean, it is crystal clear again. They're expecting the 310th consecutive sellout here at AT&T Park, and about an hour plus away, a little more than an hour away, they're opening the new 49ers stadium as we speak. The Niners are playing the Denver Broncos in an exhibition game. 1 ball and no strikes to Revere. And Revere loops one to left field for his 3rd hit in 3 at-bats and his 7th hit in this series. He's a machine, Matt. He's a hitting machine.
7 for his last 8.
7 for his last 8.
It's pretty good.
And there's Petit, who's warming up again.
By the way, I found my 1st round draft pick for the draft.
Oh, okay. What are you going to do?
I'm going to surprise you.
Oh, yeah? Now, we talking NFL or CFL? What are you going to do?
CFL, BC Lions, Travis Lulay.
Travis Lulay.
Quarterback from Montana State. Good young kid, good arm.
Do they have fantasy football for the CFL?
No idea.
Oh, okay. I mean, I would think they would.
Probably. Well, yeah, we have what's called Pro Line up there.
Uh-huh.
And it's a betting, you know, it's pretty neat. It's all legal.
No balls and 1 strike. Swinging at this 0-2. Would you have taken Chad Johnson in this year's draft in the CFL? A wide receiver, former Ocho Cinco. I say that. I don't know if he even made the team. He was trying out up there.
No, I wouldn't.
0-2 to Rollins. Rollins walked and scored, struck out, and he hits that one foul as Revere was off and running.
Almost got Pete down in the camera wall.
Pete waited till it stopped rolling before he picked it up. Ben, I think we've said this a lot. Looks like he hurt himself on that run to second. That foot, I mean, it's got to be creaky. Doesn't seem to affect him when he gets rolling, though. One ball, 2 strikes to Rollins. And Rollins fouls it back to our left. And Rollins lifts it out toward right. Not that deep. Playable for Pence, who makes the catch for the first out. Back to first goes Ben Revere. And that'll bring Chase Utley to the plate. Well, I mentioned during the open that Tim Lincecum has no-hit the Padres twice. Once last year, once this year. The only other pitcher to do that is Addy Joss for the Indians. He no-hit the White Sox in 1908 and then did it again in Chicago in 1910. Lincecum's 2 no-hitters there were 2 totally different personalities, if only for the number of pitches that he threw from one to the other. Revere draws a throw.
Well, I went back and looked at some numbers on that Addy. How do you pronounce his last name?
Addy Joss.
Joss. In 1907, he was 27-11. He started 38 games that year. So he had a 37. It was unbelievable. The numbers he threw.
Posey able to start the double play attempt, and Lincecum can't hang on. 3-6 on the putout at second base. They almost had a 3-6-1 double play. There are 2 outs with a runner at first. Ryan Howard's coming up. Posey did a nice job with the feed to second base.
He comes off, gives a nice feed to Crawford. Crawford basically throws a strike to first base, but Lincecum, he just drops it at first.
Yeah, they would have had him. They scored a fielder's choice, 3-6. They could have conceivably given Lincecum an error on that. 1 ball, no strikes to Ryan Howard. But as we saw earlier in this series, Ryan Howard had a pop-up that he dropped that they didn't give an error for. All right, so it's impressive that Addy Joss finished as many games as he finished, right?
Well, yeah,
it's a different era of baseball.
Well, yeah, that year he had 338 innings pitched.
That's a lot of innings. That's a lot of innings. Check swing, slow roller up the first base line. Susac has it and throws out Howard. 2-3 on the putout. No runs, 1 hit, 1 man left for the Phils. Middle of the 4th inning here in San Francisco. It's a 2-2 game. baseball is brought to you by Delaware Valley Honda. Visit your local Delaware Valley Honda dealer or shophonda.com. By Xfinity, your home for the most live sports. And by the Quality Plus Sports Stores. Go further. It's a 2-2 game. Part of the pier that leads to AT&T Park. Just outside the bay. Phillies and the Giants, the final day of this road trip. The Phils will head home. 3 against the Mariners, 3 against the Cardinals as Mike Morse bends back. It's a 1 ball and no strikes. Morse on the first pitch from Buchanan, single to right field. And his first at bat. Curveball, and it's 1-1. I thought that was an interesting part of the conversation Murph had with Hamels, how Buchanan has all these pitches and is just trying to figure out when to use them, what the sequence of those pitches should be up here on the big leagues. Because I would imagine that it is different than the minor leagues, Matt, where he could probably overpower hitters and get them to go after certain pitches a little easier than here in the big leagues.
Right.
Back toward the middle. That'll be another base hit for Morse. He's 2 for 2 today and 6 for 7 in the series.
Well, I think the biggest thing is to come up here and be able to repeat the pitches on a consistent basis. Down the minor leagues, you can get away with throwing, you know, curveball, nasty low and away, then all of a sudden you're hanging it down the middle of Broadway. Up here, it's going to happen where guys are going to hit the ball at the ballpark, but he does have the stuff. I'd like to see him use his fastball more and his cutter, especially with 2 strikes on hitters. He needs to get that pitch where he can, put hitters away.
Joe Panik is the batter. He flied to center toward the warning track his first time up. So he's 0 for 1. One ball, 1 strike. Carlos just asked for time. That one sailed away, that fastball.
He's trying to be too quick, trying to do a slide step, and the arm just never ever catches up to the feet. That's why it was so far outside.
Off the end of the bat, a flare out to left center field. That's going to drop for a hit. Morse will stop at second. And the Giants have first and second with nobody out here in the 4th inning. And Susak, who singled his first time up, will be the batter. So Panik's at first base. And speaking of Panik, our Geico quote of the day comes from Bruce Bochy about him. On his contributions, he's doing what you hope the young guys do. Show that he belongs up here, hit major league pitching, and play well on defense. He has a knack of slowing down the game that goes with confidence. Well, they were in search of the second baseman, the Giants were. As that one's hit back toward the middle. Another base hit for San Francisco. Morse waved late. Revere's throw over the head of Howard. And Morse is still able to score. It's a 3-2 ball game.
I'm not sure what Mike was doing coming around third base. He was anticipating that he was going to be stopped and not try to score there, and he almost stopped it. He almost stopped right here. Huh.
I don't know if I think Tim Flannery was waving him the entire time.
The whole time he was.
Flannery, the dugout and the third base coach's box are so close to each other. Flannery was making Morse laugh. He said something to him. He was making Ron Wotus and Hensley Mullins laugh as well. Yeah, the book, everybody knows this. You know, if there's a ball head out towards center field, then you're going. You're going to try to test Ben Revere's arm. Well, here's Brandon Crawford. Giants have taken the lead here in the bottom of the fourth. Crawford had an RBI single his first time up. Still nobody out here in the home fourth. Outside, 1-0. Yusmeiro Petit is warming again in the bullpen. He's probably going to be a point where they're going to have to bring him in if he keeps on warming up. At the knees, that's over for a strike. Lincecum is on deck.
It's kind of interesting though, none outs, first and second, and if you do plan on using a pinch hitter for Tim, the next hitter, then go ahead and bunt in this situation.
That's a good point too. On the inside corner, 1-2. Put 2 runners in scoring position for a potential pinch hitter. So you're basically saying that this is a decoy? That the decoy out in the mound?
Well, I mean, it's, I don't know. Usually the decoy is if there's an open base at first base. You know, if nobody's on first, you send somebody down for a decoy knowing that Lincecum's going to still pitch. But I mean, Crawford strikes out in this situation. Well, Tim's going to bunt, guaranteed.
That one was in and out of the glove of Ruiz. And it remains 2 balls and 2 strikes. Swing and a miss. He got him. Good off-speed pitch. 3rd strikeout for Buchanan. And there's one away. Lincecum will bat. And Petit is now walking back in from the bullpen.
He throws a very nice changeup down the zone, and Crawford just out in front of it.
Well, here we go. Now Lincecum. Phillies are playing the corners up. Lincecum squares and takes outside. 1 ball and no strikes. Tim Flattery laying down the signs in the third base coach's box. Up high, 2-0. And he bunts it foul. It's 2-1. Phillies with 7 hits, the Giants with 6. The Phillies have left 8. The Giants have left 2 so far.
Now I'm watching the defensive alignment here on the bunt. If Lincecum can get a good bunt down the third baseline, he's going to beat it out.
And he bunts it to the left of the mound, fielded by Buchanan. He goes to third, and they get the lead runner. I don't know if Ruiz said something to him or what, but he spun and threw to third immediately. 1-5 on the putout. 2 on with 2 outs.
You know, and the reason why I said that was because, you know, he gets the head out. You know, he bunts it hard, first of all. He hits it straight down, but Buchanan's coming straight in, and that's the reason why he has the opportunity to throw him out. And Buchanan's coming straight into home plate, receives it. If anything, he might want to spin the opposite direction to get a stronger throw on it, but, you know, Church is probably yelling right away, 3-3-3.
Well, now Pagano's up with runners on first and second. First pitch is upstairs, 1 ball and no strikes. Pagan has flied to left. He's grounded out to second base. So 0 for 2 in today's game. Giants have the chance to possibly pick up another game on the Dodgers. Dodgers lost last night to Milwaukee. They're trailing today 7-0. 1 ball and 1 strike to Pagan. Runners lead off. Out of play, and it's 1-2. Giants have the second spot right now in the wild card. But Bruce Bochy said after the ball game yesterday, well, first of all, we understand where we are in the wild card, but our thought is still the division. We still want to get into the postseason any way we can, but we want to win the division. Out in front of a changeup, a heck of a pitch by Buchanan. His 4th strikeout as he gets Pagan swinging. 1 run scores for the Giants on 3 hits. They leave a couple. We'll go to the 5th inning with the Giants up by 1. answer. All right, Matt, here's the question. What branch of the service did Giants pitcher Sergio Romo almost enlist in before opting to play college baseball?
No, I'm gonna.
Well, you can just throw a guess.
I'm gonna cross out U.S. Coast Guard.
All right, cross out the U.S. Coast Guard.
I'm gonna cross out Air Force.
All right, Air Force is off the list. You have 3 more choices. Boy, that's a beautiful ship, huh? Across the harbor, across the bay, I should say.
Yeah, it's a very lovely Navy ship.
It is. Is that what your answer is?
I'll go with it.
The United States Navy is correct. His father served in the Navy. Log back on to Phillies.com to find out if you're the winner of a Phillies prize pack.
Why didn't you give me that hint 3 innings ago?
Because I wanted you to toil a little bit on it. Marlon Byrd leads it off. Marlon is 1 for 2. He has singled and scored. That ship which we showed you last night was the USS Hornet, which is across the bay in Oakland. Or I should say Alameda. As Marlon Byrd is hit by a pitch. So he's aboard to start the 5th inning.
That should get the bullpen going again.
Yeah, I would think so. Petit's got to be ready to go.
Going down for the 4th time.
Yeah, that'll bring Grady Sizemore up with a runner at first base.
This will be his 92nd pitch.
I mean, obviously they're trying to get him through this 5th inning with the lead, but they also know that this is a winnable game, and he does not have picture perfect stuff.
Yeah, honestly, I don't think Bochy cares if he gets the win or not.
Yeah, he probably doesn't.
He just wants to get the W. But every time he sends somebody down to get loose, he makes a quality pitch and gets out of the inning.
No balls and 1 strike to Grady Sizemore. One ball, 1 strike to Grady. He doubled his last time up. He's 1 for 2. Behind a number of hitters today, and he's looking to see where that pitch was, and the home plate umpire says it was down. 3 balls and 1 strike to Sizemore. And he pulls it towards second. It might be 2. There's 1. 4-6-3 on that double play. Well, he really got him to swing at his pitch on that. Out over the plate, something a little soft. And Carlos Ruiz will be the hitter. He's 0 for 1.
This is a 3-1 situation. You want to look inside. And that's not really a strength pitch to drive a ball. And, if you're going to look at over the plate, sure, go ahead and drive it to left center field or whatever, right center field. But that's what Tim Whitley does well.
And now he's going to get out of this 5th inning without any problems whatsoever. After the hit batter to start the inning, no runs, no hits, and nobody left for the Phils. We go to the bottom of the 5th inning. Giants 3, Phillies 2.
Citizenship brought to you by Citizens Bank. The Phillies Junior RBI League has been teaching kids how to play the game since 1989. To learn more or get involved, visit citizensbankpark.com/community. Good banking is simple, clear, and personal, and that's helping you bank better. Citizens Bank, good banking is good citizenship. Well, last of the 5th inning. And it's 3-2 Giants on top. Three runs on 6 base hits for the Giants and 2 runs on 7 hits for the Phils. David Buchanan will go to work against Hunter Pence, Buster Posey, and Pablo Sandoval. 2, 3, and 4. Breaking ball outside, 1 ball and no strikes. Two and out. Pence today has fly to center. He's also walked. Hunter is second in the National League in hits with 143 behind Daniel Murphy. Kind of an interesting list of guys who are leading or among the leaders in hits in the National League. I say that because there's some guys that you would expect. And then there are some guys who have been able to sustain this season-long success that you probably wouldn't expect. 3 balls and 1 strike to Pence. Casey McGee is a case in point as he continues to sit atop the top 5 in hits, as Pence thought that was a ball with a late call by Marty Foster. That may have been a little outside and low. To the right side now. Utley will wait for it. Big hop. Pence hustling all the way, and the putout goes 4-3. Well, Tim Lincecum gets a handshake from Dave Righetti and Bruce Bochy. Somehow he was able to get through 5 innings today with all those base runners the Phillies had. Give him credit. He's able to get through 5 with 97 pitches without his best stuff. Yeah, there's Javier Lopez warming up in the bullpen for the Giants. Here's Buster Posey. Posey's 0 for 2. He's fly to right. He is struck out. To right field. Bird going back to the track, reaches up, makes the catch. 2 outs. Now the St. Louis Cardinals will come to town next weekend to Citizens Bank Park. It's always a good series when the Phillies face the St. Louis Cardinals, the defending National League champions. 3-game series Friday at 7:05. Star Wars night. And Star Wars night benefiting Stand Up to Cancer. Then Saturday at 7:05. Sunday at 1:35. The ShopRite Back to School gym bag. Free to fans 14 and under. Order your tickets now by going to Phillies.com. Here's Pablo Sandoval. And he pulls it toward first. Ground ball to Howard. Underhand flip and an easy inning for David Buchanan.
Well, I was going to disagree with something with you earlier, but I think I'll continue to debate the next
about it in the 6th inning. 3-2 Giants on top. 180 wins, 5 consecutive division titles, 2 National League pennants, and the organization's second World Series championship. The 70-year-old from West Virginia had a major impact during his run in Philadelphia. And now the skipper during the best era of Phillies baseball is a permanent fixture on the club's Wall of Fame. Charlie's special honor is brought to you by Independence Blue Cross. Live fearless.
Well, top of the 6th inning, it's 3-2. Giants on top. It'll be 8-9-1 for the Phils. Cody Ashe, David Buchanan, and then Ben Revere. Javier Lopez will take over for the Giants. Lopez takes over for Lincecum. Matt, I said give Lincecum some credit for going 5 and being able to get through this, even with all the base runners that he allowed. Do I stand corrected on that?
You can think what you want. I think that they had a bad approach when they got in a hitter's count. They tried to do too much with pitches where Lincecum's not going to give in. For instance, back in the first inning, 3-0 changeup Marlon Byrd swings at. They had too many chances to put him away and didn't do it. Now, did he make quality pitches? I don't think so. I honestly don't. I just think it was a bad approach for 5 innings when you have a pitcher throwing 97 pitches. You score 2 runs. He's in trouble the whole game. I mean, that's how I look at it.
Little bloop out to right center field in the second hit of the day for Ashe. All right, I stand corrected. Lincecum was lucky to get through 5 this afternoon.
Well, I mean, just if you look at the outs, 3-1 fastball, we pulled to second base. A 2-0 fastball that we hit weakly back towards the middle, for weak outs. It wasn't the fact that we were stinging the ball and making solid contact and hit it right at people. They were swinging at the pitcher's pitch the whole night, and that's the reason why he got to go through 5 innings.
Pitcher's pitch at the right time.
Correct.
Here's Buchanan, who sacrificed his first time up, and he lays down another beauty here. Nobody's covering third, but finally Crawford realizes, and Ashe will stop at second. So 2 sacrifices today for Buchanan.
And if I'm wrong, I will stand corrected, but I don't think I am.
I mean, you know this stuff better than I do as far as approach to a major league hitter. And you are right. I mean, just if you watch the game, you can see even Sizemore's ground ball, that double play on the 2-0 pitch. It was a pitch, like you said, you're looking in, and he went after something on the outside part of the plate that he couldn't pull.
Right, he just hooks it.
Right, he just hooked it into the double play.
Now, Ben had 3 great at-bats. Didn't try to do too much and hit the ball to left field each time.
Well, he's 3 for 3 today, and he takes a pitch outside and low, 1-0. Yeah, Lincecum, we mentioned his last 4 starts, an earned run average just under 11. And today he could have had another outing where it could have ballooned even more. 2-0 to Revere. By the way, we mentioned the guys that are among the leaders in hits in the National League, that there are some that you'd be surprised with, some that you wouldn't be surprised with. Daniel Murphy, the leader, with 151. I would think there's a little bit of a surprise to that.
I would be surprised.
Pence is number 2. That's not necessarily a surprise because he's had some good years, obviously. Stanton's number 9, but there are other names. Denard Span, he's 3rd. Tied with Casey McGee with 141. Starlin Castro has 140 hits. I mean, he's had a 200-hit season already in his career. And then you have Revere, who's 6th now with 139 hits.
Stanton's the one that catches me off guard.
Number of hits?
Yeah. Because he's such a big, powerful hitter. Home run hitter.
3 balls, 1 strike to Revere. Chopper back towards second. Panic to his right. And he throws Ben out. So 2 outs. Over to third goes Ashe. Comcast Sportsnet, the Eagles have teamed up to give away a pair of lower-level 2014 Eagles season tickets. To enter to win, just go answer this week's poll question. Which road game will be the toughest matchup? at PhiladelphiaEagles.com/CSN Philly. Matt's already answered 49ers, so you can't answer that, everybody. I guess you can. It's just be drawn out of the hat. Here's Rollins, who's 0 for 2. He has struck out and flied out to right. First pitch at the knees, 0-1. Two. And a call, strike 3. Rollins goes down looking. Phillies leave one over third. No runs, 1 hit, and 1 man left in scoring position. Phillies have left 9 so far. We'll go to the bottom of the 6th inning and a get to your local Nissan store for the ride of your life and save big today. By Thomas Jefferson University Hospitals. Call 1-800-JEFF now for an appointment. By Budweiser. Here's to Budweiser. Here's to baseball. And by W.B. Mason. You can't go wrong when you buy right. Well, you can see Alcatraz from different points in the city on a clear day like this. A lot of the players on their off day made the trek over to Alcatraz. We go to the bottom of the 6th inning. Mike Morse swings at the first pitch and fouls it away. It's 0-1. So here we go. 6th inning this road trip. 14 runs, 15 hits. Rest of the game, 9 runs, 30 hits. That's for this road trip as a whole. Talked about it yesterday. Giants scored 4 in the 6th inning yesterday. The Angels scored 10 in the 6th inning in the 2 games. How you feeling about this 6th inning, Matt? You feeling good about it?
Very good.
Mike Moore 6 for 7 in this series. Two balls and 1 strike. Really just a coincidence.
Yeah, it is.
It's just one of those things. You know, we said yesterday maybe we could just flip past the 6th inning, but as you said, it's a 9-inning game. You can't do that.
I don't know if it's because the starting pitchers are getting tired going into the 6th inning.
You know, I wondered about that.
Could be.
And another base hit for Mike Morse. 3 for 3 today, 7 for 8 in this series. Now they'll bring Joe Panik to the plate. Monday, August 25th, the Washington Nationals will be in Philadelphia for a 3-game series. All 3 are night games, Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday. Tickets can be purchased anytime by going to Phillies.com. Gregor Blanco is going to come on a pinch run for Mike Morse. He gets a nice round of applause as he exits. Now, they did this the other night, and they certainly could have used Morse's bat when the Phillies won the game in extra innings. Down the right field line foul. 0-1.
Just another tough day at the office for Mike. 3 knocks. Pinch runner in the 6th. Didn't have a ball hit to him in left field. It's pretty much a perfect day.
Yesterday they moved him over to first base instead of taking him out. They're not going to do that today because Posey's playing first base.
He was drafted as a shortstop with the Seattle Mariners.
Yeah. I remember that, and I remember seeing with the Nationals after he left the Mariners and thought that would have been one large shortstop.
Yep.
Over towards shortstop. Rollins will get the lead runner at second. And not able to turn the double play. Ball just wasn't hit hard enough. But 6-4 on the put out at second base. The fielder's choice. And that'll bring Andrew Susak to the plate. Andrew is 2 for 2. He has a run scored and an RBI. Over towards short again. This one they might be able to turn too, even though it's not hit that hard. Utley will not make the throw. Boy, it really did die in the grass. 6-4 again on the put out at second base. So back-to-back fielders' choices. And Brandon Crawford is due up. Crawford is 1 for 2. He has singled and struck out. Again the shortstop, and again Rollins will throw out the base runner, this time at first. No runs, 1 hit, 1 man left to the 7th. Nice job by David Buchanan through 6. for the local Honda dealers game summary. The Giants scored 2 in the second, 1 in the fourth. They lead it 3-2 as we go to the seventh. David Buchanan's been good here today. He's allowed 2 earned runs this afternoon. Tim Lincecum, he wasn't great by watching him, but he still left allowing just 2 earned runs. He went 5 innings today. Brandon Crawford and Andrew Susak each with RBI singles. And Michael Morse, who's out of the ball game, has 3 hits today for the Giants. Javier Lopez will continue here in the 7th inning. Gregor Blanco is in left field. He came on the pinch run for Morse. And Lopez stays in the game to face Utley. Utley tripled his first time up. He's 1 for 3. Down low, and it's 1 ball and 1 strike. Numbers for Utley against Lopez: 0 for 13 against him. Gene Machi is warming up in the bullpen for the Giants. One ball and 2 strikes.
Interesting 2 strikes now. Everyone shifts over again to the right side of the diamond.
You got a theory on that as to why they do it?
Unless they're gonna, he was, Crawford was over here to start with, and then all of a sudden you get 2 strikes. You can see where everyone is right now. I don't know if it's the fact that they're going to start throwing off speed pitch to him. Maybe he's a, 2-seam pitcher. I don't know. It's interesting. Because if anything, with 2 strikes, you think about up the middle more.
Utley out front, and he's retired on strikes. So 1 out here in the 7th. Time now for our AT&T fan photo of the game. This one comes from Rod Quinones. Rod, a family from here in California, getting a chance to meet Ryan Howard. Pretty nice time when you get a chance to meet Ryan Howard. It looks like it's photo day, so they must have been visiting from Cali. Tweet your photo to hashtag #PhillyFanPhoto for a chance to be shown in an upcoming game broadcast brought to you by AT&T. 0-1 to Ryan Howard. 0 for 2. Ryan 3 for 11 in this series. No balls and 2 strikes. This will probably be Lopez's last batter because Machi is warming up, and most likely for Marlon Byrd, who's on deck. The right-hander. And Howard does not go after that one.
Be nice to see a hanging slider right here.
Be nice to see that hanging slider go right into McCovey Cove. And he stayed with that one and fouled it back. One ball and 2 strikes. Howard with 77 runs batted in. He is third, in the National League in RBIs. Waves at a breaking pitch. Back-to-back strikeouts for Lopez here in the 7th. And let's see what Bruce Bochy's going to do. He's walking up the stairs. Marlon Byrd will retreat back to the on-deck circle, and Bochy's going to go get the right-hander Pitchy. So Lopez does his job, an inning and 2/3 scoreless. We'll be back with a pitching change right after this. Park. RBI Baseball is back with all 30 MLB teams and 2014 players. Get the retro 2-button style baseball game you've been missing. Visit RBIGame.com for more details and download today on your console and mobile device. Working on Sundays. McBarge rolling along. Gene Michie in his 55th game. 6-1 with a 1.57 ERA.
3-pitch pitcher, fastball, split finger, and a slider. Tops out at 94 miles an hour. His out pitch is his split finger fastball. He will throw it at any time.
He's been involved in a lot of decisions. 7 so far for the Giants, win-loss wise. Up with Bird. And Bird takes the first one on the outside corner. It's 0-1. Giants bullpen has been one of the best ones in the National League since the All-Star break. They've got a sub-2 earned run average. That's why Bruce Bochy was left kind of speechless after the game the other night when they squandered the lead to the Phils. He really thought he had things set up properly. Now it's 0-2. Three pitches, and the Giants relievers have struck out the side here in the 7th inning. 3 pitches to Bird, that is. Middle of the 7th. Time to stretch here at AT&T Park. David Buchanan still out on the mound. It's time now for our Hyundai defensive plays of the game. That little pitching.
Of course it is. Jimmy Rollins, the fastball looking. Lopez, the swooping slider to get Chase Utley, and then Ryan Howard goes fishing. Another slider, and Machi comes in, and those three pitches right there for a strikeout, and that's how they struck out the side in the 7th inning. And that is your defensive plays of the game, brought to you by your local Hyundai dealers.
DeFreitas and Giles warming up in the bullpen. David Buchanan has pitched well here today. He's had a very good off-speed pitch, and his fastball has not, I guess, been located at times the way he would want it to be, but I think he's pitched pretty well here this afternoon. He begins the 7th inning, and he'll do so against Travis Ishikawa. Ishikawa did not start today's ball game, started yesterday's game. His numbers as a pinch hitter. He was the opening day first baseman for the Pirates this year, was designated for assignment, picked up by the Giants, his second go-around with the Giants. And he'll lead things off against Buchanan, who begins the inning with 87 pitches. And he delivers low and in, 1 ball and no strikes. One ball and no strikes. Swing and a miss, 1 ball, 1 strike.
You know, Tom, I agree with your comment earlier about Buchanan's performance so far today. No, I mean, really, he's missed a couple of times on the fastballs on his location. But besides that, he's had a lot of weak ground balls. We saw that the last inning. 3 ground balls on some weak swings hit the Jimmy Rollins. But I mean, he's keeping the ball down. If anything, you'd like to see him get back to pinpoint that fastball a little better.
I think he's been really impressive the way he's been able to start hitters sometimes with off-speed pitches and having them off balance. 2-1 pitch, way outside, 3 balls and 1 strike. Sergio Romo's warming up in the bullpen, as you just saw, for the Giants. So he'll be the next one up for Bruce Bochy's team. Gutierrez, or Santiago Casilla is available to close. There's a line to right field, a base hit. Marlon Byrd will cut it off. Ishikawa is going to hold up at first. Great job by Marlon Byrd to get to that ball quickly and make sure the ball doesn't go to that wall. And Angel Pagan will be the hitter.
It doesn't really matter how fast you get the ball in. It's just get rid of it quickly. And like you said, Tommy did a nice job of getting that ball before it gets to the wall. Because it's hard to say which way it's going to bounce, left, right. It might stop dead or whatever, but good job of getting the ball in quick.
Out near that wall, we glance at the folks who are watching the game from the fence just below the scoreboard in that landing. Boy, that is a neat part of this ballpark where you can sit for a little bit of time and stand for a little bit of time and watch some baseball during the course of a day.
You know, 3 games here we have not had a ball off that wall out there. Like ground ball, line drive.
Yeah.
And Cody Ash's home run went over the landing.
Yep. No, you're right. Peter McGowan, who was the owner at the time of the Giants when they built this ballpark, he talked about, you know, when he was a kid, the opportunity to sit as part of the Knothole gang and watch games from beyond the fences of his home ballpark, and he wanted to incorporate that into this ballpark, and that's why they have that area out there. Fly ball center field. Ben Revere going back. He's under it and makes the catch. 1 away. Hunter Pence is coming up. It's time for the Major League Notebook with Greg Murphy. Murph.
All right, thanks, Tom. Brought to you by Gwynedd Mercy University. And the New York Yankees got some pop back in the middle of their lineup. They activated Brian McCann today for the concussion list. He had missed 8 games after taking that foul ball off of his mask. He was back in the lineup today, batted 6th and started as the catcher. He went 0 for 4 today, but the Yankees did win that game 4-2. And how about what happened last night in Colorado? The Reds and Rockies were about 45 minutes away from getting their game started on the Saturday night when a water main broke out on Blake Street right out in front of the stadium. So they originally delayed the game. Then they realized that the ballpark had no water, so they had to cancel the game. All the folks that were at the game for that night had to leave, and they're playing that today as part of a split doubleheader in Colorado. So that first game is underway right now in Colorado. Then they'll play the second. It was a shame they had a nice crowd last night in Colorado because they were giving away a Todd Helton jersey night. But water main break, no water, would cause some issues with a couple tens of thousands of people inside a ballpark. So they had to cancel that one last night, guys.
Yeah, they put Todd Helton's number 17 up on their their Hall of Fame or their Ring of Honor, whatever they term it. It was a beautiful night in Denver. It was actually kind of interesting to look at the two managers when they were conferring with the folks from the Rockies front office, Walt Weiss and Brian Price. You could see it was a gorgeous night, but there was water going all over Blake Street in Denver. 2 balls and 2 strikes to Pence.
Can't forget some of the kayaks on Blake Street.
I bet you they have kayaks there. These folks are kind of outdoorsy. You didn't go in the kayak this time, Murph. What was you couldn't come up with something a little different?
Well, we did that last year.
You could have gone out in your sombrero like that guy did right there.
It's someone actually tweeted me from one of the kayaks.
Oh, really?
Yeah, they were asking if I was headed out there. But, maybe next year. That was a lot of fun.
3 balls and 2 strikes. Runner goes. Pitches line to center field. Revere gets turned around and then has to make a diving grab. Thank goodness he was able to find it again once he got turned around like that. 2 outs here in the 7th inning.
Well, and especially the view we have right here. I mean, when we're watching that ball come off the bat, Ben turns to his right. That ball slices back hard to the right. Ben, being a good athlete and a good outfielder, does a nice job of turning it and picking the ball up and catching it.
All right, David Buchanan 1 out away from getting out of the 7th inning.
But that play Ben just did in center field is what plays you work on in spring training. When a coach stands about 15 feet in front of you and you go the opposite direction, it makes you open up and try to find the ball right away.
Do you really go in the opposite
direction?
Yes, you
do.
I never realized that you would practice something like that. So you're doing that to then, because there are going to be times where you get turned around like
exactly.
that.
So you go to your left, you open up, you take off, he throws it over your right shoulder, then you have to adjust and make it to pick the ball up quick.
Come to think of it, I think I mean there were others doing this, but I do think Sarge was doing that this spring on the main field. I think we were watching him do it the first day we were in town. He was out there with Juan Samuel out in left field, and I think that's what they were doing.
And it's not really, you're not throwing 25, 30 feet. It's a matter of you open it up, take 1 or 2 strides. He'll throw the ball up, doesn't matter who it is, Juan Samuel, Sarge, whoever it is. It's just to get to the fact that once you know that you turn the wrong way, that you can pick the ball up real quick again.
2-0 pitch to Posey is outside. It's 3-0. David Buchanan trying to get through 7 innings for just the 2nd time in his big league career. See his distribution of outs. Matt said a lot of weak ground ball outs today. Posey gets the green light. That's a foul ball. Posey thought he may have broken his bat, but he banged it on the ground a couple times. There he goes again. Sometimes we can hear it up here. It didn't sound like he broke his bat. Luke down the right field line. How about that? It'll drop for a base hit. Marlon Byrd will get to it. Tim Flannery holds the runner at third. Ishikawa. First and third with 2 outs. And you wonder if that's going to be it for David Buchanan. Let's see what Ryan Sandberg decides. If he allows him to go after Sandoval here, or if he brings in Giles. Here comes Sandberg. So it's going to be Giles. I believe that's who he asked for, was Kenny Giles. Pitching change, 3-2, Giants on top. And so he's done. Kenny Giles is coming in and warming up out of the mound for the Phils. Kenny Giles, excuse me, Buchanan's trying to tell Ryan Sandberg, give me one more guy. Let me have one more guy. This is before he started coming out to get him and bring Ken Giles in.
Told you, Tom, starting pitchers do not like to come out of the games.
Well, that's essentially what Sandberg even said about yesterday and even today about Kyle Kendrick. He goes, I know he didn't want to come out of the game yesterday. And you know that David Buchanan didn't want to come out of the game here today. But now you've got Giles, who didn't pitch yesterday, with runners on first and third, and Pablo Sandoval 0 for 3. Switch hitter batting left-handed. And the first pitch to him, just off the outside corner. And it's 1 ball and no strikes. The numbers on Kenny, 2-0 with a 1.33 ERA, averaging more than a strikeout per inning pitched. Play. Fastball 97.
We haven't seen the 100-mile-an-hour fastball lately.
No, we have not. We've seen it from Diekman
on many occasions.
We haven't seen it from Kenny as often as we
twice
did.
This year?
I think he's done it a couple more times. That one a 98. 1 ball, 2 strikes. We may not have seen 100 miles an hour as often as we thought, but we've seen 98, 99, 97 an awful lot, and that's just fine.
Yep. As long as it's located.
Mm-hmm. Runners lead off. And now the 1-2 pitch. Way upstairs. 2-2.
I like watching pitchers after they throw a pitch and they know it comes out of their hand pretty hot, and as soon as they get the ball back, the first thing is they look right to the radar gun to see how hard it is.
Runner goes from first. Ball is popped up over toward the on-deck circle for the Giants. Ruiz gives it a look, but it's out of play.
Chooch
has a good year. Has had a good year.
Sorry, Chooch just stepped up and gave some signs to make sure that he. I'm thinking that the infielders are not going to cover in case it's a stolen base.
Fly ball left center field, or I should say left field, shallow. Sizemore battling the sun, makes the catch. Yeah, that'll do it for the Giants here in the 7th inning. No runs, 2 hits, and 2 men left. Giles finishes off this 7th inning for David Buchanan. We'll go to the 8th. TNT, mobilizing your world. And by Dodge. Visit Dodge.com or your local dealer today. Well, the duck boat looks like it's coming in, Matt, from its tour of the bay. And then it'll make its way around the city of San Francisco. Well, there are tours everywhere, like you would expect at a big city. I mean, there's duck boats, there's buses, there's bicycles. There's even little motorized cars. I mean, these little cars, they're like go-karts that are spinning through the city, up the big hills, down the big hills. There are segways.
I wanted to rent one of those little yellow cars.
Would have been so great looking at you in one of those
I don't
cars.
trust myself in it, though.
Well, you afraid you go too fast?
Oh, my Lord, yes. I'd be on the sidewalk. I'd be everywhere.
Scooters. There were scooters, too. I saw some scooters last night. Well, here's Sergio Romo. He's picked up the save in last night's ball game, 5-3 on the year, facing Grady Sizemore in the 8th. And it's 1 ball and no strikes. Sizemore today is 1 for 3, hit into a double play his last time, hitting .303. Sizemore combined this year between the Red Sox and the Phils, a .246 hitter, 3 home runs, 22 runs batted in, 23 extra base hits. At the knees, 2-1. He's been a good pickup for the Phillies.
Now that was a good take. 2-0. That's what I was harping about earlier.
Yeah.
Hit your pitch.
Fouls it at the plate.
See, I wish I would have told myself that back in the day. I did the same darn things.
But I would think that you had years where you did convince yourself of that.
Well, you thought you did. Then you get in that mode where you're feeling very good and you think you can hit any ball in the ballpark, and you get that 2-0 changeup rollover, and next thing you know, you get a 3-U. 3 unassisted.
Well, and in Sizemore's case, it was 4-6-3 on the double play.
I guess they're right. Hitters are stupid. Pitchers are stupider, though. Stupider or dumber?
I would think dumber.
Stupid.
I'm not saying that they are, but I think that's the word you're looking for.
So you're agreeing with me?
2 balls and 2 strikes to Sizemore. Outside 3-2.
Finally got Tom to agree with me.
To go over on your side of the game.
124 games you finally crossed. Sorry, Jamie. And Jamie's back tomorrow.
And you're off to Canada.
Yes, sir.
So with a miss, Sizemore has struck out. 5 straight strikeouts for Giants pitching. One out here in the 8th. The Junior Phillies Club is presented by Powerade. It's for children 14 and under. You can join the Phillies Club for $15. Receive a backpack, Chase Utley poster, and magnet set, and other fun items. Go to Phillies.com/Junior Phillies Club to enroll and learn more. I believe we have a situation out on the bay. San Francisco police looked like they had pulled over a boat. 0-1. Carlos is 0 for 2. He walked his 3rd time up, or 2nd time up, I should say, in the 3rd. Outside, 1-1.
Well, Tom, you owned a boat. I've never owned a boat. This might be a real dumb question.
Yeah.
But are you allowed to have open liquor on the boat, like in the bay there?
I don't know about the rules here, but yes, you can.
As long as you're not driving.
As long as you're not driving the boat.
Okay.
I've never been pulled over out on the water in my boat. Well, looks like they got a smile on their face. 1 ball and 2 strikes. Maybe they're in a little bit of trouble. Maybe the boat's not working. Romo saved last night's ball game. It was his first save since the 22nd of June for the Giants. We mentioned he was the closer last year. Santiago Casilla had lost his last couple of games as a closer. And that was the reason why Bruce Bochy decided to go to Romo. But it looks like he's going to go to Casilla today. Six consecutive strikeouts for Giants pitching. 6 consecutive strikeouts, 3 different pitchers accomplishing the feat.
This is his money pitch right here. Slider, he'll throw it any time, anywhere, any state, any country. In the Navy.
In the Navy. Sergio Romo. He's not a big guy, as you can tell, not on the mound. Cody Ashley takes low. 1 ball, no strikes. Ashley has been on base 3 times. Romo's listed at 5'10", 185 pounds. And a line drive over the glove, but just off the glove. A panic. A base hit for Ashley. It's his 3rd of the day. And the Phillies finally break the string of consecutive strikeouts. It ends at 6. And now Dominic Brown will pinch hit for Ken Giles. Jeremy Affeldt starts to warm up in the bullpen.
He pitches every day.
He does seem like he pitches every day. Well, I guess, you know, we see him so often, he and Lopez, when the Phillies and Giants face each other, because the Phillies have so many left-handers. Dominic fouls it at the plate. It's 0-1.
Tom trying to get time, and he wouldn't get it. Marty Foster wouldn't give it to him.
Surprised he wouldn't. I mean, Romo was taking a little extra time. He had a couple of head bobs. Looked like he took a big, deep breath, too, in the middle of it. That would irk you as a hitter, wouldn't it?
Should be a balk.
I was thinking that he was moving like that. Not his head bobbing up and down, but just the big.
Well, you can do whatever you want with your head, but
right.
all of a sudden you come set, you're doing the whatever the
head bob,
chicken bob or whatever, and then all of a sudden you take the deep breath.
Yeah,
that should be a balk.
One ball and 2 strikes. He's definitely trying to add a little deception to what he's doing.
I won't lie, Tom. Every time I faced Romo, I tried to hit a ball so far.
Because you thought he threw so soft? Is that what it is?
No, I won't say why.
The head bob have anything to do with it? The beard that he had? Anything like that?
All the above.
Dominic Brown pulls it down the right field line, hooking toward the line. It is a foul ball, just foul. That ball was fouled by maybe a step onto the mound. That mound is so close to fair territory. Maybe a couple feet foul. Slider that's swept in. Dominic Brown's down looking. No runs. 1 hit. And 1 man left for the Phillies. Middle of the 8th inning. Everything seems to be in order out in the Bay. Eastern, the latest on Monet Davis and Team Taney at the Little League World Series. They're set to get underway in about 20 minutes or so.
And a recap and reactions of today's series finale between the Phils and the Giants. Know a lot, know it. Know more, know it all. Watch Chevrolet Sportsnet Central. We go to the bottom of the 8th inning. There's the group we've been talking about the last couple of days. More than 120 people from Philadelphia out to watch the Phils in this 3-game series. All right, Matt, I think I figured out why you wanted to hit the ball so far against Sergio Romo.
Well, I mean, it's a very nice backdoor slider, but I mean, I guess that was the biggest pitch he's ever thrown in his career, and wanted to celebrate. And because if I would have got a hold of one, remember when Aubrey Huff came across home plate and did what Chamberlain did when he struck him out that one time? I think I might have stopped at every base and did that right there.
Well, here's Gregor Blanco to face Jake Diekman as we begin the bottom of the 8th inning. Blanco up for the first time. He came on to pinch run for Mike Morse, who went 3 for 3 today. Blanco hitting .243. Down the left field line. Sizemore comes curling in, diving, and he can't hang on. And Blanco's going to get to second standing. That'll be a double.
Good effort right here. Actually within his glove and came out right on the point of contact of the ground. Right there he has it. Enough. It pops out.
So a runner in scoring position for the Giants. They lead it by 1. Joe Panik is the batter. Let's see what they do here. He's hit the ball well, and they're going to let him swing away. He takes inside, 1 ball, no strikes. David Buchanan started today, went 6 2/3. He allowed 9 hits, 3 runs, 2 earned, 1 walk and 4 strikeouts. Ken Giles pitched a scoreless third of an inning for the Phils. And now it's Diekman in need of a strikeout. Instead, Panik hits a single to right field. Bill holds. Blanco, the throw goes over the head of the cutoff man. Panik is safe at second base. And Rollins is saying, let's challenge this one. He thinks he slowed Panik before he got to the bag. And here comes Ryan Sandberg. Marlon Byrd let it fly, thinking that Blanco was going to try to score, and Panik read that it was going right over the head of Ryan Howard. So he'll get a base hit, and we will see if he is out or safe at second base. Rollins, look, he's blocking the baseline. And Rollins, and I think he's on. They are going to review this. It doesn't hurt right now for the Phillies to review this because we're in the 8th inning and they can request this review. It's up to the umpires at this point.
Did he keep his hand on as he slid?
It looked like he did. It's one of those, Matt, that's, if the Phillies are asking for it to be overturned, it's going to go down as inconclusive unless there's something that they're seeing that we don't have, that we can't see. It did look like his hand got in the back of that bag. Rollins was blocking him from getting to the base. Phillies will get the bullpen up behind Diekman while they have a moment. Watch it here. He's blocking it, but Panik, see, I can't tell whether he's off the bag or not with his pinky. And now his arm looks like it's on it as the tag is made. If you ask me, it looks like his hand is in. And beyond that, I think it would be inconclusive to overturn it. And the call is probably going to stand. It may not be confirmed, but it's probably just going to stand. The difference between stand and confirmed is stand means there's nothing conclusive to overturn it. Confirmed means that they feel like the umpire got it exactly right. Joe West to your right, Alan Porter to your left. Those are the umpires who are listening in to New York as they review it. And they're taking the headphones off right now as we speak. See, there's hands on the bag. Does it come off the bag? And they signal safe. Call is confirmed, which means that they saw that Panic had his hand on the base and that Rollins had not tagged him yet. So single and second on the throw. Others on second and third.
So when they do the review, the umpire crew chief goes in, and is it the guy who made the call?
Goes in with the crew chief. Yeah. Now, if it's a boundary call, sometimes they'll pull in the other veteran umpire.
Oh, okay.
But most times, at least this is what we've seen. I don't know if it's written this way, but at least it seems this way. Whoever made the call, that's being questioned. Now, if it's the crew chief that makes the call that's questioned, they'll bring in the elder statesman along with the crew chief. Okay. In this case, it would be Marty Foster. So
I guess August 17th wouldn't have been a real good time to ask you that question. Should have asked you in spring training.
No. Hey, I think we're learning along with this. There's still things that happen with replay that we learn that we may not have 100% understood. 0-1 the count to Susak with the infield in. 0-2. Every time the Phillies pitchers retire, the opposition 1-2-3. Comcast will make a contribution to Phillies charities. Phillies baseball is brought to you by Xfinity, your home for the most live sports. Susak today has 2 hits, an RBI, a run scored. He hit into a fielder's choices last time. Try to get him to go after a slider. And it's 2-2. Toyota Major League Scoreboard, an update from Washington. Nationals won yesterday on a Wilson Ramos ground rule double. Today the Pirates have jumped out to a 2-0 lead, trying to halt the Nationals' 5-game winning streak. Pirates are a half game behind the Giants right now in the wild card. Three and two. Spot for Diekman. Bases are loaded with nobody out. Crawford is the batter. We'll stay with Diekman here. Lefty on lefty. Cesar Jimenez just jumps out to go start throwing for the Phils. Justin DeFreitas has been throwing for the Phillies. Right center field. Bird on the run. He'll make the catch. Tagging from third is Blanco. Going from second to third is Panic. And it's now 4-2. Sac fly for Brandon Crawford. And runners on first and third. And Joaquin Arias will be the pinch hitter for the Giants and the pitcher.
Got to be careful here with Arias. It's a very aggressive first pitch swinger.
Phillies will play the infield in, and he takes a slider low. 1 ball, no strikes. Phillies can't allow another run to score here, so that's why they're not set up for 2. Fly ball center field. It should be deep enough to score Panic. Revere is under it, makes the catch. Panic's coming home. The throw to the plate, cut off by Howard. 5-2, Giants on top. Back-to-back sac flies by San Francisco. So 2 outs, and here's Angel Pagan with a runner at first. Out of play, 0-1. Way outside, 1-1. One and two. Well, the Giants have tacked on here. They've scored 2 runs in the 8th inning. And now have out-hit the Phils 11-9. 5 through 9 hitters today for Bruce Bochy because they've had a couple of pinch hitters. 10 for 17, 5 runs scored, 4 RBIs. And it is true because the top of the order, 1 through 4, they have 1 hit. Counting the walk, they've been on base twice. One hit in 15 at bats.
Been there before. No.
2-2 pitch. Swing and a miss. He gets him with a slider. The Giants do get 2 in the inning. 2 runs, 2 hits. 1 man left. Last chance for the Phils as we go to the 9th inning here in
after this game, Phil will head back to Philadelphia for a 3-game series starting tomorrow with the Seattle Mariners coming in. And tomorrow's pitching matchup, Roenis Elias taking on Jerome Williams in his second start for the Phils, and A.J. Burnett and Masashi Iwakuma pitch on Tuesday. And then on Wednesday, it's James Paxton, who's 3-0 for the Mariners, taking on Cole Hamels in an afternoon contest back at Citizens Bank Park, guys.
All right, Murph. Well, it's a long homestand for the Phils that begins with the 3 interleague games. 3 interleague games, then 3 against St. Louis, 3 against Washington. Phillies have a long homestand, then a long road trip after that. They have one last chance to win the series here this afternoon against the Giants. Santiago Casilla will take over for the Giants. Well, the bullpen for San Francisco today has been one of the big storylines after Tim Lincecum really struggled, labored through 5, but left with the lead. He's in line to get the victory here today, despite the fact that he threw nearly 100 pitches in 5 innings of work, 97 pitches. Allowed 2 runs on 7 hits, walked 3. Ben Revere leads it off. Should say walked 4. 1 ball and 1 strike to Ben. Ben singled 3 times in his first 3 at-bats.
That's a hard slider he throws. 89, 90 miles an hour. It's almost like a cutter, but he has a cutter and a slider with the change and tops out at 96 with his fastball. So he's got a live arm, throws strikes, and works pretty quick.
Ground ball softly to second. Arias now playing second base, throws out Revere, 1 away. Phillies wind up losing this game, and they're down to 2 outs. They trail it by 3. They would finish this road trip with just 1 win, 1-4, after losing 2 against the Angels. Jimmy Rollins 0 for 3. Rollins 3 for 17 on this road trip. Still locked on 799 extra base hits.
To me, this road trip, it looks like Jimmy's been having a hard time with his timing. At times he's been very late and getting his foot down. It's a little too late, and the ball's been getting deep on him.
Now, with his style of hitting, that does happen. The timing part of it, because of the toe tap.
Just got to remember, earlier the better.
Swing and a miss. Rollins is struck out for the 3rd time today, and now 2 outs. Boy, how about this? 8 strikeouts for the Giants bullpen here this afternoon.
The dreaded backup slider that you think's going to break in keeps on going away, and Another punch up for the bullpen.
8 strikeouts in less than 4 innings for the Giants bullpen here this afternoon. Chase Utley's the hitter. Utley tripled his first time up. The Phillies jumped out to a 1-0 lead here this afternoon. Take strike one. It's 0-1. Down the left field line, it's 0-2. He's down to their final strike, their final out. Swing and a miss. Back-to-back strikeouts to finish up the 9th inning by Santiago Casilla, and the Giants have won 2 of 3 from the Phils. They win it 5-2, and the Chevrolet players of the game are the Giants bullpen. 9 strikeouts in 4 innings in relief of Tim Lincecum, who's able to walk away with the victory here this afternoon. Well, it was a 1-4 road trip for Ryan Sandberg and the Phillies, and for Bruce Bochy's team scuffling here at home, winning 2 of 3 against the Phillies is a pretty good tonic for a team that's trying to get to the playoffs here in 2014. Here's our WB Mason delivery of the game. You know, Matt, it